Bruce, the other day you mentioned the transition game as one of the things you'd like to see improve. Specifically with Grzelcyk and Riley, you know what they can do when they're playing to their strengths. What do both of those guys have to do to perhaps further or closer approach their threshold of play?
Well, I think for Mike, it's about going north sooner. He likes to hang on to the puck. He has good vision. He can look guys off, but he's been going back a little too often, which now your forwards are stretched out too far. The support breaks down. And even though he might still have puck possession, we've lost our opportunity to attack. So a little more straight up the ice quicker for him. Ozone blue line, try to be a little more creative. I think he did more of that last year. Some of that's obviously what's going on around him. And then with Grizz, it's just the attack mode a little more. He's so good in those kind of just inside the blue line areas where you're not in a breakout, but it's not a regroup yet. At spinning out of those forechecks and getting going on the attack, and especially when teams are on a line change, getting it across ice or sort of getting into their third layer almost with one pass. So that's some areas where it's just a little more of a mindset of getting going quicker and attacking, and maybe not always looking to slow. I don't know if it's slow the game down, but go D to D. And some of that is not going to work every time, right? But I think we will allow them to do those or look for those plays, and I think what happens from there, Fluto, is then your forwards start recognizing as soon as our D are touching, it's coming back up the ice. So we got to get work our butts to our spots, and it just becomes a mindset right through everybody, and that's what we've lost a little bit, and that's on us to make sure we correct it, and it's on the players to make sure they buy back into that mindset. Because I do believe you'll get some better rush attacks while they're scrambling to recover to their spots as well.
We'll go next to Kevin Dupont.
Morning, Bruce.
Hi, Kevin.
In my morning reading, I know this sounds like a Johnny Carson joke, but in my morning reading, it said it's so cold in Minnesota that they're actually heating the ice for the outdoor game. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not, but I'd give you my Ed McMahon laugh, but I don't think it's going to do it justice. But I do remember Johnny.
Right, you are, Ed. Two things about this. I assume there's no outdoor ice at Shea Cassidy this year?
No, we're well, there's two reasons. My daughter is now in school where they skate 3 times a week minimum at the end of the day. It's part of their what do you call it? It's like their gym class. So she was going to be on the ice a lot. And then I thought I was going to be in China. So someone has to take care of that right when I'm gone. And that's hasn't been done well enough in the past. So I figured, we're going to pass this year. And then the weather obviously has come into it. So nothing yet anyway.
And also on the outdoor score, I remember you talking about growing up across from, I think, a grammar school where you went and played outdoors in Ottawa. Was there a temperature where you guys just bailed and said, this is just too cold?
No, not for me. It wasn't when I was a kid. And there was a lot of other kids that just sucked it up. I think someone told me once that Ottawa was the coldest capital city in the world. And I believe it in January and February. So for us, it was a matter of when your hands started freezing, it was probably time. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't say bailed. I would say we hung in there as long as we could, and then just smartened up and got off the ice so we don't get frostbite type of thing. But no, there's a lot of kids that sucked it up. You just got used to it. And then I think with that particular rink, they were good at taking care of it, people at the school. So that helped us a lot because we were just kids, and we certainly, we could shovel it together. That's what you used to do, grab a shovel, line up in a row and skate down end to end. And like your one big snow plow, but the watering part they had to take care of. So they did a good job. I'm thankful for it.
Okay, thanks. Stay warm.
Go next to Steve Conroy.
Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
Good, Steve.
First off, any idea if you're going to have Coyle back?
He has to test and get a certain number today, I believe it is. So we'll know probably in the next few hours if he met that threshold. I think that's part of the protocol now is that after 5 days, I forget the name for the medical term for the number he has to meet, but I think it has to be greater than 30, which is getting you kind of farther and farther away from, passing on the COVID to the next guy. So I don't know if he met that number this morning or not, but if he did, then he'll be in tomorrow with practice. If not, then he keeps testing until he gets there.
In 1 day of practice, that would be enough to get him back into the game on Saturday, do you think? Or
Sorry, you were cutting out.
Oh, sorry. If he has that one,
one practice.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to talk to him. Some guys are able to do more at home than others, obviously. With I think Charlie was asymptomatic, so he should be fine. I assume he was doing some work. He's in pretty good shape to begin with. So yeah, it would be. Now we just got to see how he looks on the ice and see how he feels. He's got to be part of that discussion as well, because it's an afternoon game. There's no morning skate to sort of get an extra touch or two in there. So, but yeah, he'd certainly be available, and we would most likely use him if he thinks he's ready to go.
Yeah, and just focusing on that Saturday game, you're going to be. I think it's 2 weeks today where you haven't played a game, and by the time Saturday rolls around, Buffalo will have played 2 games. How much of a challenge is that going to be for you guys?
Well, they'll have the advantage of being back into the grind of puck possession down low, 50-50 pucks, and just the stuff that's hard to practice over and over, the game situations where you're coming through the middle with your head up, and as opposed to looking down sometimes. And obviously in practice, we're not, you're not getting hit like that. So that's the one advantage they'll have. It'll be their 3rd game in 3.5 days. So the advantage in that regard should go to us. We should have the fresher legs. So we'll see which one wins out, right? But I mean, we have built some battle into our practice this week, enough that I hope guys are, winning their puck battles. It's just, like I said, those managing the pucks in those tough areas in games that you can't replicate will be the challenge for us. But I think our guys are ready to go. We had a good week of practice, Steve, so far. We'll get on again tomorrow, tidy up a few things, and energy level's good. We got pretty much all our bodies here with the exception of Charlie, and looks like he might be joining us. So I think this is as healthy as we've been all year. So let's see how it plays out.
Thank you.
We'll do a final call for questions. Go to Matt Porter.
Morning, Bruce.
Hi, Matt.
Got a little bit off topic of the Bruins. We've seen the World Juniors and the Women's Worlds canceled. Not quite sure what they're going to be doing as far as making them up. Curious for your view of that as a coach. One, what was your reaction to the cancellations there, particularly on the women's side? And then also, what kind of opportunities are lost, for development and growth and being on that stage if that age group doesn't get a chance to play those games?
Well, I mean, women's and men's, no matter what, anything that gets canceled that you've put time and effort into, it stinks, right? I mean, you're there because you're the elite, and you're excited to represent your country. Like I said, you've made some sacrifices around the holidays. All those things go into it, but at the end of the day, it's just disappointing you don't get a chance to go win the gold, so to speak. So I think it doesn't matter what age or what male, female, whatever, that having to get it shut down is very disappointing. And how they're going to make it up, I don't know. I haven't heard anything if they will, or they'll just roll, wait for next year type of thing and get back at it. I don't know what the parameters set up were ahead of time. It'll probably come out today that if this was going to happen, would they shut it down, or how many positive tests would you need? But I'm sure they had a plan going in. It's unfortunate. And then, for the stage, I think it's the beginning for a lot of these kids of being like a marquee name, and how to deal with the media and the spotlight for some of these kids when they start dominating these tournaments. And it's the beginning of what they can expect going forward for a lot of them, and a lot of name recognition around the hockey world for people, especially outside your own country. You start, that young Russian kid, I think it's say it right, Michkov. I mean, everyone was talking about him, so it would have been nice to see him in action play as a young kid. And he's just one of many guys that's not going to get that opportunity in front of our eyes. He will back home, but at the end of the day, you go back to your team. You play well for them, and hope this is the end of it. But who knows? Like if they're canceling games at the World Junior, does that mean the Western Hockey League, the junior teams, are going to be in trouble as well? And all those kids have already gone through that. So that's the tough part too. They can't, if it bleeds into their own league, then not only they lose the spotlight games, they lose their regular games for their development and opportunity to be seen.
It strikes me as particularly raw for the women as well, because they just have so few opportunities, for best on best competition, international games and all that.
Yes. I mean, it's tougher for them. You're right. And that this is their big opportunity to not only sell them themselves, but sell the game in general to people. The eyes will be on them as well, but it didn't work out for them. And again, hopefully they have an opportunity to maybe push it back down the road. Like I said, and they have teams to go to as well, but I imagine they could sort of reschedule easier than maybe some of the other than the male side. But I don't know the answer to that, or if I'm being naive, but hopefully they're able to do that so they can get their opportunity.
Thanks, Bruce.
Yeah. Take our final question from Julian Benbow.
Hi, Bruce. How you doing?
Hello. Good morning.
Can you hear me?
You're kind of echoing in and out, but I'll try.
That's tough. No, I was actually just curious, and it might not apply, but between the break and like all the talk about like protocols and going in, how was there a way that the team was able to just kind of like engage with players, keep them connected, and or do anything that kind of shifted the focus a little bit and allow guys to kind of not think about it a little bit and still kind of talk and be a little bit normal during that time? Or
we left the players simply because before we were shut down, a lot of them started to, like a lot of people, have maybe a mother-in-law come visit. It was the holidays, so they were planning their Christmas activities. So I think they got themselves focused on that part of it. Obviously the ones with family and young kids, and they use that, the break to take time to do that around the holidays, where they're probably usually relying on their spouses to get everything done. They'd probably be able to help out. I know how it was in our house a little bit. So that was the nice part for them around the holidays, to be able to get that break in. But as a team, no, we did not meet every day on Zoom, or, I've always checked in with the guys that have tested positive to make sure they're doing okay, especially the young ones. If they're isolated by themselves, make sure our older guys are talking to the younger guys if they need something, et cetera. But no, there was nothing specific during this break. And I think some of it was simply because we didn't know for a while when the restart would happen. If you remember, we got canceled in Montreal, then we're going to Ottawa, and then that gets, the last minute, we're not going to Ottawa, we're going to play our home games, but then one goes Carolina, we're still going to play Colorado, then that, you know what I mean? So it was pieced together almost every day. It wasn't like a firm, hey, you guys are done for 2 weeks. So I think in the back of your mind, you're still thinking you're going to the rink to play hockey. It just might not be today or tomorrow, but it'll be the next day. And then, finally we did get a firm date, and then another game got canceled coming out of the break. So I think it's been a lot of stopping and starting in that regard, but guys have lived through it the last couple of years. And again, I think we're a resilient group. Hockey players are, and we'll show up when we're told to, and hopefully bring our best.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, media, for joining us.